WHAS 11 Weather First.
Right now, today at 5, we are talking about the big change. The cold air is sweeping in. In fact, we're going to have the coldest air of the season so far as Halloween kicks off tomorrow night. We've got freeze warnings out for Kentuckiana now. It is a frosty start to our week. Hi, everybody. I'm Doug Proffitt.
And I'm Shay McAllister. I'm so stunned by the
weather has taken your breath away, Shay.
We better get on over to Colleen before I just freeze up completely, Colleen.
All of our breaths are going to be taken away tomorrow morning because it is going to be a cold one. This is a freeze warning. The first of the season, just letting you know, hey, we're going to be 32 degrees or below. In fact, some of us will be in the upper 20s. So let's get right to it. Overnight tonight, we have a low of 31 here in the metro, but could get as low as 26 to our friends across the river in Indiana. So bring those beautiful mums in if they're not dead already like mine. It is going to be a cold one. Want to take those precautions. Maybe turn on that heat for the first time. We have some clouds over downtown Louisville right now. Those will start to clear out as we head overnight, but all of that rain is done for the most part. We are going to stay dry throughout the rest of the week. So 45 at the Ali International Airport right now. Looking at that radar, the last bit of showers just clearing out of our areas off to the southeast, and we will be drying out. We actually have a second cold front passing through tomorrow on Halloween, which will bring us some colder temperatures for Wednesday morning, but also some very windy conditions right around trick-or-treat time. So I'm going to break down how cold it will feel for your trick-or-treat hour because those wind chill values are going to be uncomfortable. Over the next 12 hours, we will be lowering in our temperatures, getting into the below freezing tomorrow morning. I'll have more information coming up in 10 minutes.
All right, Colleen, thank you so much. The federal trial began today for one of the men who shot into Breonna Taylor's apartment on the night she died. Brett Hankison is accused of using excessive force, violating Breonna Taylor's civil rights in 2020.
WHAS 11's Alexis Jones is covering the federal civil rights case involving the former Louisville Metro officer. She has an update on jury selection in downtown Louisville, which started this morning.
Jury selection has been a waiting game here at the federal court building. After hours of questioning, attorneys are still working to narrow down 44 people to 16 jurors. Now this group will decide if Hankison violated the rights of Breonna Taylor, her boyfriend, and her neighbors. While we don't know the questions being asked, early court documents show attorneys were interested in learning more about the potential jurors' criminal history, how they feel about the Black Lives Matter movement, and what they know about the Breonna Taylor death investigation. Documents also show what will and will not be shown during trial. Judge Rebecca Grady Jennings granted Hankison's motion to take the jury to Taylor's apartment to see his point of view on March 13, 2020. However, she denied his request to not show them images of Taylor after LMPD's raid. Right now, jurors are being questioned in another room in the courthouse. We will keep you updated once we learn more information. In Louisville, Alexis Jones, WHAS 11 on your side.
Alexis, thank you. Well, it's important to remember these are federal charges. A jury acquitted Hankison in 2022 on state charges, which included endangering Taylor's neighbors. He was accused of blindly firing 10 rounds into Taylor's home, with some of those hitting her neighbor's apartment where a couple and their young son was asleep. But once the DOJ got involved, prosecutors filed federal charges. Along with Hankison, 3 other former LMPD employees are charged. Former officer Kelly Goodlid pleaded guilty to helping falsify the search warrant. Former detective Joshua Janes and former Sergeant Kyle Meany are now charged with conspiring to violate Taylor's civil rights.
More of our top stories here today at 5. The man who owned the home in Highview, once filled with dangerous chemicals, appeared in court again this morning. We're talking about Mark Hibble. He faces wanton endangerment and burglary charges in connection to the chemicals discovered in his house on Applegate Lane. That was 3 months ago. Hibble's attorneys argue that he had the chemicals because he and a partner were going into business to sell them. Hibble is a former chemist. As the EPA wrapped up its controlled demolition of the house last week, we learned just how many chemicals were actually in the home.
We're well over 100 different chemicals found in the house. Where possible, we've removed trays and racks of chemicals out of the house.
And the risk of explosion, reaction, and fire is over.
Again, those comments from Friday. Hibble is out of jail on bond. A judge previously ordered him to get immediate treatment for his mental health. Today, they set the next court hearing for January.
A homeless outreach organization is celebrating its 1-year anniversary today. Since opening, they say they have helped more than 100 people get off the streets and into houses. The hotel is right off of I-65 near U of L's campus in Old Louisville. WHAS 11's Ian Hardwitt went there today and spoke with some of the people making the change, now moving into permanent housing for the first time in years.
It's been 1 year of putting people in homes.
And the housing thing was pretty much so far out of reach for me. I was pretty much just, the asphalt was my bed. So
Eddie Thrasher's not alone.
And it's pretty common.
Kimberly Nillette will follow in Thrasher's footsteps soon. She, her husband, and their dog just secured a place to live with the help of Arthur Street Hotel.
Application fees, background checks, with your, rent deposits and all that. And if without that, there's no way I'd be in housing. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. The total amount was $915 that they paid out. And I'm like, thank you, God.
Dr. Susan Buccino left their position as Director of Homeless Services for the city of Louisville this year. The hotel gives her an opportunity to work with less resistance. She was frustrated with the slow pace of progress and barriers to providing people with what they need.
Every other crisis gets an influx of attention. This one gets an influx of complaints.
She asks people to see the humanity in those struggling out on the street. In Louisville, Ian Hardwitt, WHAS 11. On your side.
Well, here's an idea of just how large the homelessness issue is in Louisville. The wait list for the Arthur Street Hotel and several other shelters in our city are full. Feed Louisville helps operate that hotel. You can find a link to volunteer or donate if you'd like on our website, WHAS11.com. Just look for the story. Well, the end is in sight for the United Auto Workers strike. Sources telling ABC News the last holdout, General Motors, has struck a tentative deal.
All three tentative deals include a 25% raise for the workers over 4 years, plus cost of living adjustments. The union increased the pressure by expanding its strike at GM's largest manufacturing facility in North America, and it worked. Within 48 hours, General Motors offered the deal. The tentative deals give less than what UAW members wanted. They had been calling for a 40% wage increase over the next 4 years, a figure they say matches what the CEOs for their companies earned. Still, they do consider this a win.
We fought like hell, and we won like never before. When we say this is a record contract, we mean it.
It is important again to note that these are just tentative deals at the moment. All UAW members still need to vote and ratify the contracts before they become official.
So here's part of what they're going to be voting on. The Ford and Stellantis arrangements call for more paid time off, significant improvements on pensions, and guarantees to keep certain factories open. Workers will get an immediate 11% raise right upon ratification. Temporary workers will get more in wage increases than they have over the past 22 years combined.
There's new information tonight from victims of the Old National Bank mass shooting in Louisville. They're now planning to file a lawsuit against a gun manufacturer called Radical Firearms.
That's the company that made the rifle that was used in that shooting. On April 10th, Connor Sturgeon opened fire in a conference room on one of his coworkers. Now, some of those coworkers say Sturgeon should have never had that gun in the first place. The gunman bought the rifle just days before the shooting. Attorney Tad Thomas was hired when the wife of one of the victims, Jim Tutt, reached out. Shortly after, another 5 victims called him too.
They want to seek justice and they want to seek change in our country. And currently, manufacturers are insulated from liability through federal law, but there are exceptions to that. And what the families in this case want is accountability.
Thomas says they hope to have that lawsuit filed by the end of this year.
Our country's had several mass shootings since then, and we're now learning more about the man behind the mass shooting in Maine, his past and possible missed signs, warning signs by law enforcement. Meantime, the community in Lewiston, Maine is mourning the 18 people who were shot and killed in the massacre. Here's ABC's Rena Roy.
The tight-knit community in Lewiston, Maine, coming together to remember the 18 lives cut short in last week's mass shooting. Angela Turgeon lost her aunt Tricia Aslin in the shooting.
There's a sense of relief, a sense of safety, but it doesn't take away from the huge hole in our community.
Leroy Walker remembering his son Joseph.
I miss him, but I can't bring him back.
Late Friday, the suspect, 40-year-old Robert Card, found dead from what authorities say was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The discovery came after a desperate 2-day manhunt. And we're now learning more about potential warning signs about the danger posed by the suspect that police may have missed that might have prevented the massacre. Last month, a Maine sheriff reportedly sent an alert to all law enforcement agencies in the state after sources say the suspect threatened to shoot up an Army Reserve Center.
We paid attention to it, kept an eye on the area. The guy never showed up down here, never had contact with him, no nothing.
But the Lewiston police chief telling ABC his department never received any notice.
This just came to my knowledge that that there was supposedly some reports made. It is concerning to me.
Also, Lewiston City Council president and gun shop owner Rick LaChapelle says in August, the alleged shooter was turned away from buying a silencer for a rifle after he checked yes on his application when asked whether he'd been committed to a mental institution.
We did what we were supposed to do and hopefully saved a lot of lives.
While he was turned away in that case, authorities say they haven't seen evidence the suspect was forcibly admitted to a mental health facility, meaning it wouldn't have shown up on a background check, preventing him from buying guns. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Kentucky doesn't have a red flag law, but Indiana does. They were one of the first states in the country to pass a law like it.